Greetings, Lego friends. All right, we are here at the finish line for modifying this Lego Bricklink AFOL Designers Skyline Express monorail. I guess mine is more of a light rail now. It's kind of a glorified roller coaster that doesn't do anything too exciting except go straight, right? So yeah, the Skyline Express, if you've been following along, wonderful set from that designer AFOL program. I think it's from the first series actually, but don't quote me on that. But it's a limited run, and the cars for it are quite small, and they use these tiny little wheels that go inside the track, and if it's not motorized, so if you try to push it, they just come right off the track and crash and ruin your day. So the designer of this Jazzlecraz, he showed quickly on a video how to add motor, receiver, battery box, etc. to that and run it. So I did that, and again, immediately as soon as it hit the corner, it just crashed and burned. So a little bit of research. This has been a journey, but I realized that I've got to have these roller coaster carts that hug the track, make a good connection there and won't come off. So I found a seller on Bricklink that had 5 of these. Got them fairly dirt cheap, like $1.25 or so a piece. And then in my research, I found a fella named J.K. Brickworks. Shout out to him, because he was building something like this on these roller coaster tracks, but it was like a roller coaster up and down hills. And I started to build all of that, spent a lot of time on it before I realized that's not really what I need. And then, of course, if I had just done a little more research, I would have found that he had more or less this, exactly what I wanted, which is a flat roller coaster track, cars with a motor, receiver, and battery box. In fact, the same ones I have with the same controller, done with the parts list and instructions all on his website. So that's where I felt good, and I started building, but I wanted my color scheme. That's the only real difference here. Besides, a lot of the parts now that I'd have to get from Bricklink, because it's not, their cars are going to be totally different from what came in the Skyline Express set, right? So in the end, I had to get a whole bunch of these white roof pieces here, more dark azuri pieces so I could keep that color scheme. The roller coaster carts, of course. What else? I bought a whole bunch more of these, the light trans blue windows. I bought some straight track, because in the Skyline Express, it makes an S kind of curve over here, and that's just not going to work for this. So I bought some track so I could just make a nice oval for testing. Yeah, a lot of different pieces, but you can see them in the parts list here. The biggest challenge was this car. So J.K. Brickworks, when he did his, he added a motor here and just replicated the build of this car and then swapped it underneath so that he could have 2 motors, and then, of course, an extension cable running here to power that motor, which I didn't want to do. So I just wanted to use my 1 motor, and I wanted cars to be able to have minifigs in. So this yesterday was my whole day, just building from scratch to figure this guy out. Wasn't too complicated. In the end, I built this thing and ran it the first time, and this car started to spin 180, and I realized I needed to add a limiter here to keep this from spinning too far. So just a simple 1x2 with this post. I remembered I'd seen those in my white parts a number of times, and I thought, you know what, that'll be perfect. And it's working great. So it limits this car from spinning too much. The only other challenge was that for J.K. Brickworks, his windshield is different than what I had in the Skyline Express set, and I wanted to use my existing because of the great color. So I just had to build this a little differently to make this front part here, right? So that's simple enough. Happy with that. So I think the cars, you know, they're not identical, but they're good enough. I think if I were to make any other change now, it would be to take this all apart, use dark azuri here, get rid of this dark gray, and put the dark azuri there. And then, of course, the other thing I learned, this is physics and science, and who would have known, but when this guy is pulling with this motor, it's a struggle on the corners. And down here, you can see it in J.K. Brickworks' design for this motor car. He's got these little pieces attached here that kind of hug the track, but they can come right off unless I figured out some better way to secure those. So then, I don't know when, but I thought, you know, I wonder if pulling it is so hard, what if pushing is better. And it definitely is. I am really happy with that. That is pretty smooth. That's about top speed that I would want to go anyway, right? Very nice. So that's that motor at the end pushing everything around instead of pulling. And I'm really happy with that. Now I can get minifigs in there. That'll be nice. Yeah, I love it. Very happy with that. But when we go into the city, it's going to be a different scenario anyway. I want to start at the police station, past the Brick Bank, Parisian Cafe, Detective's Office, Palace Cinema, and just make a turn, one turn in front of the church, and then come back. So that is the next challenge. I'd like to do that with not a mechanical switch of some kind, but I'd rather have it done with a sensor. But I don't know if that's possible. That's something I'm going to have to research. And then the station, I'm really happy with that, but I need to add lights. So I think that's my next challenge. It's going to be hard to hide the lights in there. And by the way, this had to be modified also, of course, for these bigger cars. But Jazzlecraz has a guide to widen this. I had to go use that only as kind of reference because I had to go even wider, and I think I even went a little taller just to make sure there's room for the new cars to pass through that station. But I need to get lights in there, and I think for lights in this, I'm just going to do twist lights. I don't really think I want to put in a little battery box now and cables running through all here for lights, because that's going to just eliminate my spot for minifigs, I think. I'd like to put seats in these at some point. That would be really nice. But that's it. Very, very fun. I'm very happy with it now. It's been a journey, and I've learned an awful lot, which I can apply to future projects. I do have that Creator Pirate roller coaster. I'm going to motorize that. That one uses a chain, basically to run the carts up, and then gravity brings them around and then up onto that chain. So that's going to be a good challenge and should be fun. Looking forward to that. So that is it. Any thoughts, comments, suggestions? Would love to hear about it. Throw them down below there. If you want to build this thing, not impossible. You can go to Bricklink, type in Skyline Express for the search. It'll bring up the set, and you can look at all the parts list there. And you could build this thing. But these, just keep in mind, the cars are completely different. They're very different from what come in the Skyline Express. You're going to need more dark azure and a lot of other different parts, which you can find on JK Brickworks website. His is just a different color scheme. He used red where I wanted to use the blue there. So that's it. Very good. Happy to have this done now. And hope you've enjoyed this little journey and maybe had some laughs at my expense while I learn about the difference between monorail track, roller coaster track, and train track, right? Should have known from the start, this is a roller coaster track, and you really need to work off these roller coaster carts because they hug the track and they just fly up and down easy. Really nice. It's the only way to go, in my opinion. So that's it. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate your support. Like and subscribe if you haven't. More great stuff coming your way. Hope you all are having a great weekend, and we'll catch you on the next one.